Great. We're streaming on Facebook. Thank you, Julia. Hello, friends. It's June 2024, and we're delighted to bring to you our monthly card making virtual class through Zoom and Facebook and YouTube. So whether you're here with us live or catching a recording, we welcome you and we're delighted you're taking part. Our kits are available to pick up at the library. You can reserve a kit. Julia, there might be a couple left this month. I'm not sure, but it's a suggested donation of $5, and that includes the supplies for you to make the projects that we create together here virtually. You can use the stamps and ink that are included in your kit. Those will be things you return to the library, or you can use other supplies from your stash. I always love the inspiration I enjoy from crafters who use a bit of this and a bit of that. Maybe you have a ribbon left from a kit a couple months ago, or some stickers or some magazines at home that you're cutting up and fussy cutting and adding to your projects. Any way that you're putting the materials together, it delights us to know that you're gathering with us. It's fun to make stuff and it's fun to give them away. So be sure you're sending your cards, or tonight we'll make a little box. It's perfect to put a little treasure inside. So let's see. Julia, I'll have you spotlight my hands and then we can get started on our first project. I'll share with you a really simple box template. Terrific. And I think you can make it so it's just my hand. There we are. So I love sharing my smile, but I want to show the projects up front and center. So this is a box that's created with a card base. So you'll have the option tonight either to make your card using the supplies in that envelope or turn it into a box. The template is very simple. I'm going to share it and I'll also put a screenshot of it in the comments, a photo of it in the comments for this video. It's a very simple box with some scoring and some cutting, and we're going to start with this tonight, and then we'll work on the cards. So I'm going to use a tool called the Simply Scored board, which allows me to make score lines in the cards that then I can crease. And you'll see on my template here that I'm scoring at 1 inch, 3 3/4, 4 3/4, and 7 1/2. And what this does is it makes some additional score lines. The original card that Stampin' Up! Made for me is printed with the polka dots on the right side, and there's a score line down the middle. And what I want to do is have a channel here that's, 1/2 inch on one side and 1/2 inch on the other side, so that my 1 inch depth of the box will be consistent throughout. Here you can see that center line. You can tell where the card front of the card is and the card back is because the pattern changes. Sometimes that's true of cards, not always. For example, on the butterfly one that I have, the card is printed on the front and the back, and so the full box has that wonderful design. Okay, so we're going to take our card base, and again, you can decide if you would rather have this be a card or a box tonight with any of the cards that we create. I'm going to score at 1 inch, 3 3/4 inch. Let me just check my phone because I've been having trouble with my charging here. Let's see. It's letting me know that it's going to get tired, and I've got my charger attached to it. I think it's still charging. It's hard to know.
That's okay. It helps me, gives me time to look for my ruler so I can make my scores by ruler.
Very good. Well, we got to hope for the best. I'm nervous that it's not charging. I've got my phone hooked up to the charger tonight. It's been one of those days with technology. Yep, I apologize. I'm going to be upside down here. I'm just going to do the best I can to get a few things demonstrated, and then the rest I'll be able to hold up when my camera is tired. So 3 3/4, 4 3/4, and 7 1/2. Basically what we're doing is we're making 1 inch marks along all 4 sides. So at 1 and 4 1/2. And I have the template that may be easier to see this way. And so on each side of the card, it's 1 inch. And because that depth is 1 inch, we need our middle to be 1 inch also. what that does is create the sort of the back, the hinge of our box. Okay. So then we don't need to do any more scoring. That's easy. We're going to take our scissors and cut on the 4 lines that we just made. Now you'll notice I'm skipping over the Stampin' Up! Scored line for me. I don't need that one. I'm going to skip right over that fold and go just to the 4 that I scored. 1 inch, 3 3/4, 4 3/4, 7 1/2. I'm going to flip it and do the same on the other side. There we are. And then we're ready to put our adhesive on. Now, when you're making boxes, it's a great idea to score on all the lines, to get crease on those lines that are scored so that the box is ready to come together. So we're folding, and we don't want that middle line. We're not going to use it, the score line that was already made for the card base. Now, whatever is on your the right side of your box, the right side of your card, that's going to be the front of my box. I need to put some adhesive on the 6 little squares that we have here that we scored and cut, these 6 little squares. Now I'm using tear and tape adhesive tonight, which is a wonderful adhesive. It's strong, it's got a good grip to it, it's easy to manage, and it's a strong tape to hold on. When you're working with 3-dimensional projects, you want to be sure that it holds nicely. There we are. So I have 6 squares that I've put my tape on. Now, as I mentioned, the right side, the front of your box, first we're going to do the bottom of your box. So whatever is the part you want to be the bottom that's not going to be embellished, that's the part we're going to work on first. And we're going to make a little tray. So I'm going to take off the adhesive. And then I'm going to fold it in at that 90-degree here. And I'm going to do that on the 4 squares that surround the bottom. And this is making what I like to call a tray for my box. Just get rid of those little liner pieces. And you've got, or you can use, if you have a tape runner or the Tombow multi-purpose glue works well for this project as well. You want something that's got some good grip to it. There we are. And now we have sort of the tray, the bottom of our box. It's like a tray, okay? Now the top of the box, we just have 2 more squares, and we're going to attach those in the same manner. 1 and 2 to make the flip top lid of the box. There we are. So we have the tray where we put the 4 squares together, and the lid, which has the 2 squares. And then that can close, and the bottom tucks into the top to make a darling little gift box, ready for some tea or candy or a gift card, or lots of good things can fit inside. Now, to decorate this box, you can use the supplies that were in that same envelope if you like. You'll see I used I cut up this piece into strips so that I could decorate like that. And then for the stamping part, I'm going to use some images from a beautiful stamp set called Happiest Day. It has some pieces you can make rainbows with, and dragonflies, and then some really fun greetings. So I'm using the one that says, happiest birthday. Let's see, what does it say? Wishing you the happiest birthday. I'll go ahead and stamp this for us. I'm going to do the greeting first, and then I'm going to sprinkle some of those designs around it. Now, what's fun about this label, of course, is it's shaped like a little word bubble. So it's like you're singing or saying happy birthday to someone. but I want, because that greeting is kind of narrow and the width of the bubble is wider, I'm going to use some little filler stamps from this stamp set to add a little bit more embellishment. So I've got some Granny Apple Green, and I'll put that in a couple of places. These are like little flower arrows, or they could be any different design that you like. Put the box here so you can see a finished one. And then we have some Flirty Flamingo little sprinklies. So I'm going to add those along here. And when I do that, sometimes I want to turn the stamp so it's not always the same pattern coming in, and just adding a little bit more sparkle there. Wishing you the happiest birthday. So I can use scissors to trim my my square here, or I can use a paper trimmer. And I'm going to just use scissors because I know that you have scissors handy. I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces. I'm using the star pattern kind of as a guide to help me make them straight, but it doesn't really matter if they're exact or not. And actually, I'm going to trim off, going to make that 4 pieces, but I'm only going to use 3 because I like odd numbers on things. So I'm going to just kind of put these a little haphazardly to add some interest. You could keep the square whole if you like. And then we'll finish this up with some dimensionals. So there should be some dimensionals in your kit, some of the little mini dimensionals that you can use. What they do is allow you to just pop up elements on your project. So I'm going to use some Tombow multi-purpose glue to first adhere my strips. And again, intentionally here, I've made them kind of haphazard. I want them to sort of dance across the box. Like this. And then I'll use some dimensionals to pop up the word bubble. Here we are. So I thought I was really clever with attaching my charger. I have the kind of charger that doesn't plug into the phone. It actually, the phone rests on it. And I washi taped it, my phone, to it, thinking that it would hold it and work throughout our class, but I can see that it's actually not charging, unfortunately. But what I'll be able to do is show you a couple more things, and then I'll be able to hold up projects to finish our things tonight. If you wanted to make this as a card instead of as a box, you've got some pretty twine, this green and white twine. Let me do it this way, because when I turned my camera, I ended up being upside down. And can take this twine through the hole. Whoops. Vellum is a really neat kind of paper. It's a translucent paper, and what it does is sort of softens the paper that you have underneath it, so you can see the full strength of this pattern, but when I put vellum on it, it kind of mutes it a little bit. So it's used often to kind of ease and have less distraction. It also is a cool texture. It's not really shiny, but it's got a different matte finish to it than like regular paper does. So I think that's a fun way that it adds texture. And I'm just going to wrap a few times this green twine through the hole, and I can tie a bow or a knot here. There we are. Okay. Trim that away. And then that's going to be anchored on our card first. Now I know that this other piece of paper is going to be on top of it. So vellum, because it's translucent, is going to show any adhesive that we put under here. Whoops, sorry, I want to do it this way for you. And so I want to be sure to put my adhesive in a spot where it will be covered up. So I can go ahead and put a little bit in the middle here where I know that that colorful starburst pattern is going to lay on top. Just kind of smooth that in. You can see how you can see the glue. Even when it dries, I'm going to be able to see that through the vellum. So that's why I'm going to cover it up now with this design. And this one I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. So you'll have options tonight whether to make cards or boxes. And in fact, I hope you'll love the box template and show off lots of cards or lots of boxes transformed, lots of cards transformed into boxes. And here's my wishing you the happiest birthday. So I'm not going to stamp that again, but that's how you can see it would come together to be either the box or the card using those same materials. If you made the box, you could tie your ribbon around it. You can use the vellum for another project. You get to decide. Okay, so let's set those out of camera here, clean this up a little bit. I'll show you just a few other fun boxes that I had. This one is made with the lavender paper pumpkin kit refill, and one that's made with the hollyhocks, which is a new kit we have. And what's fun about a lot of our kits that have pre-printed elements is that they're in different languages, in French, German, Dutch, and English. So that makes a lot of fun opportunities for some cultural exchange. This one is one I designed for a class I'm doing with my friend Cindy from Hawaii, and I love that it looks like a suitcase. And so we added some beautiful shiny textured paper and some corrugated paper. And this is from a new kit called City Sights, which is a lot of fun. So if you're interested in more information about that, please reach out and I will let you know. For our envelope art tonight, we're using that same stamp set that had that greeting for the birthday, has these sweet little rainbow stamps in there. So it's always, you want to give a little hint on your envelope of what's inside. So if you borrowed stamps from the library, you can coordinate your stamp from the inside of your card with the stamp on the envelope. All right, so before we lose all power from my phone here, before my battery ends, and we'll just go to my face. But first, let's try to see how much we can do of these. You'll have one of 3 different designs again. And these cards are wonderful for graduation, for a birthday celebration, for a congratulatory retirement, or any kind of celebration, because they have a positive greeting on them. And then inside, they have a little pocket where you can put cash or a check or a gift card or some love in there, however you want to express it, with a photo or a little note. So again, for this one, you're going to have one of 3 different designs. And I'll start by assembling this one. And this one has, they all have a white card base, but this Starry Sky one actually has an edge that's curved here, and that's designed to match, I got to fold it the right way, the curve on this printed insert. So if you have the one that has the gold splatter like this, you're going to fold your card base and then just make sure that you folded it in the direction that's correct for this wavy line to match. And we'll go ahead and adhere this. There you go. And
so instead of making it matched perfectly, you could trim off the top and then have like a little bit of the white showing.
Oh, great. Yeah, if you wanted, you could trim some of this and then there'd be gold and white showing there too, instead of it having be directly. That's a fine idea. Here you just see the white when the card is closed.
Yeah.
Okay. So then for our sentiment piece, the best wishes, we'll pop this up with dimensionals. And remember, with dimensionals, you just remove that little liner. And then we can add this to the front of the card. And I believe everybody has some little dots. They look a little bit like candy dots. I have some that are all different colors, but you should have the ones that coordinate with the color of your card, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and just add things. Again, I usually like 3s or 5s. So you've got 5 colors. You can put all 5, or you can, I can't remember how many I put in there. You have at least 3 of the little embellishments. Did you find them, Julia, in there? Was there a little piece of, yes. So there's, I can't see if there's 3 or 5, but you would,
5.
Okay, so I think I prefer odd numbers. It helps our eyes move around when we shape things in a triangle in threes, or fives as an odd number is another way to help things feel balanced. And so these are just a sticky back adhesive dot. They kind of look like candy dots, and you can put them wherever you like. Now, to make the inside, the gift card holder part, you'll notice there's a scoring on 3 of the sides. So you can fold those. If you have a bone folder or a spoon, you can make a nice crease with your tool. And then we're going to use, again, either the Tombow liquid glue, or if you have tear and tape, or if you have Snail or Seal Plus or any of the tape runners, you're going to add adhesive to those little flaps. And then we'll put it inside our card. So this is just fun. If you're giving cash or a check or money to someone, and we put it inside the card, that's fine to do. You just want to be sure that that person knows that when they receive it, right? And it doesn't get lost. So in this case, you've got a little pocket to tuck it in and it won't get lost. You can put it up on the front of the top of the card, or the side of the card here. This is the You Can Do Anything one that's made with the red. And this is made very similarly. We've just popped up the red layer over the gold printed part. And then I stamped the little greeting, Can Do Anything. So you can do anything. If you don't have a sentiment stamp that matches what you want to say, you can handwrite along that little banner if you have the red card, or if you have this blue one with a circle, I stamped the words just for just for you. You could also do You Make Me Happy, I Love You. You can think creatively about what words you might want to do, what sentiments, if you have one of the ones that has the you greeting. So again, the assembly is very similar to the way we put our first one together. We're going to use dimensionals to pop up the layers and the greeting.
So I noticed you have to be careful when placing the pocket on the inside. If it's all the way to the bottom, then it will show past the bottom.
Oh, yes, you're on this. Yes, the Best Wishes card that has the variegated bottom. You want to have your card pocket be up a little bit higher, otherwise it will peek through. Now, I'm sure the recipient wouldn't mind that, because it means you put something special inside the card, so they wouldn't mind if it peeks through. But that's good advice. This card has kind of a cutaway piece that the other cards do not have. Right. So this one I can add some embellishments to as well. I'm going to go with my 3 pattern again, like this. And You Can Do Anything. Let's do that one too. Green and some blue. This one is, I like these particular set of cards I really enjoy because of the foiling on them. I think that makes it kind of a sparkly, a celebration card. All right, and then the third project tonight of these, this is the card that has the scenery in your packet, and it has the linen thread inside. So you'll see there's 3 different ways that I put the thread onto the cards, and I wanted to just show you that if I can tonight. Let me move some things away. And if you'd like, I can also show you how to make the box again. But I think as long as you are referring to this template, you'll be able to see the dimensions. And this again is for a box that it's 1 inch deep. You can actually modify the template to make different size boxes. And I love math. I love paper engineering. So for me, this kind of learning is lots of fun. And if you're interested and you come to the library on Friday, tomorrow morning, I can show you the template for that. If you want to change up your boxes, or at any time you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to share with you how I create those simple templates. I also want to show you some cards that are available during our class tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Let's Kit Together class at the public library. It's a $20 supply fee, and that includes a full kit that has stamps, ink, the clear block, and supplies to make cards. So this kit I wanted to share some of them that are wonderful for Father's Day cards for special people in your life that you want to celebrate. This is a kit that makes 4 of each design. So it's 2 designs and it makes 4 of each of them. The words for this are wonderful. It has like nephew, son, father, a lot of words that you can mix and match with. And it's great, not just for Father's Day, but for birthdays and for thank yous. And the other one I'm highlighting for tomorrow's class is a new kit that's called The Best There Is. And these are really, really beautiful papers, designer series papers that are printed. And then you do some fun stamping as well. You can stamp the tree on the envelopes, which is this beautiful tree stamp that comes in the kit. And then some nice greetings. So this one's also fun. It teaches a couple different techniques of inking up direct to paper, where you ink up you can brush the ink right onto the cardstock. And in this case, we've stamped onto the leaves. It's a little hard to see on camera, but there's texture stamped onto the leaves to add even more depth to the design. So this kit makes 3 each of 3 designs for a total of 9 cards. And again, they're not just for Father's Day. They're just really handsome, beautiful cards for your gift giving pleasure. So I am aware my phone is going to stop working. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go off of that one and have Julia spotlight my face, and I'll get back into view here for this so I can hold up some things. Thanks everybody for your flexibility tonight. Can you hear me okay now? Okay, terrific. So I wanted to finish with this third card, which again is a nature card, and you'll have one of the 3 designs. But there's some similar tricks I want to teach you about the linen thread and some of the stamping. So let's start with the one that says life is meant for good friends and great adventures. So this one has a mauve banner and then a greeting piece. So the way we've used the baker's twine in this kit is simply to wrap it around and tie a bow. So I'll show you. I've got my mauve piece. Let's see if maybe we can turn down the camera. Is that awkward to see it like that, or can we make that work?
That's good.
Is it easier, Julia, to look at my face or to see it like this?
To see, for this part, it's easier to see your hands.
Oh, I can't hear you now. Let me see if I can get it to work. Can I hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Hooray. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Very good. Is it easier to do it this way, or should I keep it on my face and hold things up?
I think go back and forth.
Okay. Okay. So for this one that we'll be working on, I just wanted to share how I'm using the linen thread to embellish the banner. So I take the linen thread and just wrap it around. Sometimes it's long enough if you want to make a knot, you could wrap it a few times and make the knot. I'm just wrapping it 2 times and tying the simple bow. Linen thread, like I said, is a really nice texture. It's a natural texture, and it's thin, so it doesn't overwhelm a project, but it adds some nice softness to the texture. So I wrapped it around 1 time, and then so it actually has like a double here, and then the bow. Now for the greeting, I have that stamp set that comes with the kit, and see where that one is.
I just wondered, did people need to see the bow or
Sure,
see how you made the bow?
I, 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 I don't know if it's easier if I show, let me clear this and have it be black so then I can show people how I did it. So because I cut the string long enough, it's long enough to wrap. Instead of just tying it around and like I'm tying my shoe right at the front, I'm actually going to wrap it once and then tie in the front. So see how it's got an extra layer there. And we'll go ahead and tie the bow. And you can, in this case, I've kind of spread the linen thread a little bit so you can really see that there's that extra layer. Depending on how long the thread is, sometimes you wrap it 3 or 4 times. And of course, I'm fumbly with my fingers tonight. Let me give it one more try.
That makes me feel better.
I need someone to come and put their finger there to help it hold down. When I make bows, with certain ribbon, it's sometimes you do it upside down so that the bow comes out the right way. But with linen thread, it's very flexible, and you can fuss it either way. You know, once it's made, you can fuss it so the strings come down or in the opposite direction. Here you can see on the back that it's wrapped around 2 times. Okay, so for our stamped image, I'm going to use that greeting. And using a color called Pebbled Path. It's a really beautiful neutral color, a gray tone. And then we'll be able to use some dimensionals to pop this up onto our card. So that's the focal point here. So it's a very simple way, if you have just scraps of cardstock, to make a little banner, and that gives a backdrop for your sentiment. You can see on this card, this is quite a busy card, right? There's a lot of activity. So just the sentiment alone can get kind of lost on there. When we give a little frame or banner behind it, it helps give a little more attention to that banner. Here's the finished one to show you. Also, popping it up with dimensionals really helps give that depth and help it stand away from the main card. Okay, the next one I'll show you is the one with the bison and the happy birthday banner. So if you might have this one in your kit, you have one of those 3 designs. Let me pull that one from my pile. I especially like the clouds in this card. I think it's really a pretty piece of art. And again, how lovely it is that it's on the front and the back of your card. So the animals are on the front and on the back. And so some of you might say, ooh, I'm going to split this up into 2. I'm going to cut this up so that I can make 2 card fronts. A lot of crafters are savvy with stretching our supplies, and this is one way you can do that with a card base. So for the bison, this card has a banner. Again, I've got a strip of a solid color. So you notice this isn't very big, right? This is just a few inches long and about a 1/2 inch wide. But what it does is it can frame another piece or kind of layer, and it just gives more depth, and it helps that sentiment have more of a focal point. So in this case, we've got the greeting, happy birthday. Let me go ahead and ink that up for us. And I'm going to stamp over on the right side. See, you're upside down. Oh, look, I made a very personalized greeting tonight. I got some ink on there. I'm going to move it over to the right side so that I've got some room over here to put my binoculars. So I didn't center the happy birthday. I put it over to the right so that I would have some room to put that little element. And again, by including some of that solid color behind it, it's going to make it pop some more. Let me show you the finished one again. Let me hold it up like this. So on this one, the baker's twine is kind of like a nest behind it. It's almost like an infinity circle. What I did was take my twine and wrap it around 3 or 4 fingers a few times to make a circle here. And then I twisted it so that it made it like a figure 8. Like this. So then when I place it behind my banner, it's going to hang out a little at the top and a little at the bottom. And a great way to do that is to use dimensionals to anchor. Let's see, here they are hiding again, my dimensionals. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this white piece. And then when I remove the liners, I'm going to put them in here. Actually, I did it a different way before. I'm going to show you, you can do it a couple different ways. I'm going to put this in, and I want it to get stuck to those dimensionals. So now I'm going to add another dimensional on top of some of the baker's twine. I'm just trying to lock it in place so that I'm going to have some above and some below. Now, another tip about baker's twine is don't worry too much about how it lays, because it's going to be able to shift and move. And it also kind of looks better when it's messy instead of too neat, in my opinion. So I'm going to layer it not exactly on top of the mauve paper, but so that more of the mauve shows at the bottom.
Offset.
Offset, exactly. And then I can add it to my my card base. And because I've already popped this piece up, I'm just going to use some multi-purpose glue to anchor this. Here we go. All right, and then the last thing is we'll add these little binoculars. Now, another tip when you're using dimensionals, if you want the binoculars to be flush with the banner, but the banner's already popped up, then you want to put a dimensional above the banner here. That's where the binoculars will sit, and that way they're going to be flush with the banner. There's no real rules about that, but I think it's fun to share some different tips with dimensionals and with adhesives to help you. So I'll show these side by side again here. You can see my linen thread is going in the different direction than on one and the other. It's a little harder to see in this one. It got twisted up a bit, which I think kind of makes it a little more rustic. But that banner is popped up, and then the binoculars are also popped up, but they're flush with the banner. Sometimes when we make a card, we don't want it to get too fat so that it can't go in the envelope and go through the mail. So even though you want something to be popped up, you don't necessarily want 6 and 7 layers popped up, unless it's a hand-delivered card, and that's wonderful for someone to receive. Okay, the last one that we'll work on from that set is the one that has fountains and grasses and stones and a little path here. So this greeting says, it doesn't matter where you're going, it's who you have beside you. And this is a lovely sentiment, I think, for someone traveling, someone on an adventure, someone graduating or going perhaps to the service, or someone who's retiring and has a change in their life. It's a nice greeting. But if you have a stamp in your kit you would like to work with, this card is just a beautiful basic card. It could be for thinking of you, for sympathy, for happy birthday, for any greeting. It's just a really lovely natural scene. So when you have sentiment pieces like this, the sky's the limit with what you do, whether you handwrite a message, a scripture, or a verse, or a favorite little poem, or write someone's name. Everyone enjoys something personalized. Whenever you travel, do you see those displays of like keychains or little license plates or anything? And people always look to see if their name is there. And some of us have names that are differently spelled than others, and so it's harder to find those names. So if you give someone like that a personalized card, that's a special gift. Okay, so for this one, let me turn you down. We'll do a little bit of chips on the thread for this one too, the way I did the linen thread. I'll stamp the greeting. There we are. And my linen thread. Okay, so this time again, I'm going to wrap the linen thread around my fingers 3 or 4 times. And now I've got a loop. And instead of twisting it in half, I'm just letting it be a circle like a nest. I'm not going to twist it this time because I want the thread to kind of wrap around the whole sentiment. And I will do the same thing. I'm going to put some, this time actually, I'll show you a little bit different way. When we did this other card, I put the dimensionals first and then put the thread down. This time, I'm going to use the dimensionals to help stick it right to that label. It's just kind of a reverse from the other one, but it's getting the same objective done, right? We're going to kind of lock some of this nest in place. And when we peel those off, it will have the dimension from the dimensionals, and it will also have the, oops, it will have the texture of the linen thread here. And if you don't want it, the tail to stick in, you can kind of tuck that under. It doesn't, I don't mind that. I like this how it's a little more irregular. And we have a fun compass for this one. I'm going to go ahead and add that off to the edge here too. Popped that up. Okay, so we'll hold that up and show you these three that are possible. And here comes my charger, I think. My husband is here with the charger right as we're finishing up.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you very, very much. So here's the phone charger for next time, friends. Thanks, Julia. So, so these three, you'll have one of those in your kit. But if you'd like more, this is a kit that I have available at our Let's Kit Together. So it's another really nice card for all people. It's not really flowers and butterflies. Sometimes we want a more natural greeting or different textures and landscapes. So I do have additional supplies for this kit if this interests you as well. But just a quick look again, I have several kits available for tomorrow. I do have butterflies and I do have flowers, but I also have these really nice wood grain set, as well as the ones with the mountains. And these colors are so nice, this sort of mint macaron, sagey color, some plaid designer series paper, and just a little touch of the foil there, which I think is very special. Yeah. So thanks for bearing with me tonight as I've had a little tricky time with my computer and with my phone. But again, it gives me a lot of pleasure to meet each month and share virtually our love of card making. And I invite you to be a part of our in-person event tomorrow morning. It's always the second Friday of the month at 10 o'clock. We welcome you, and share with me what you're making. You can comment on our posts. You can come in and visit me at the library. You can contact me on social media. But Julia and I both really appreciate your participation, and we love seeing what you're making. So thanks for being a part of this creative community.
Okay. Thanks to all of you who came tonight too.